Which job has, hands down, the worst impact on mental health? My doesn't deserve top 10, but I worked at an payday loans place for a few months. If that didn't feel like legally working for the devil, I don't know what does. My dad is an oncologist. He handles it well, but that has to be up there. Every time you meet a new patient, it's during one of the worst, if not the worst, time of their lives. And it's up to you to break it to them, their families, if the toxic treatment you have been administering is working or if they should give up hope and get their affairs in order. On top of that, you have them attending appointments telling you the kind of toll the cancer is taking on their marriage. So many people walk away from their beloved partner of 30 years rather than support them through this, not to mention their finances. Crime scene cleanup, entire families murder suicide, seeing dead babies would wreck me. The smells, bodies turned to soup, brains splattered, blood, lots of blood, feces and urine, pets taking a chomp because they haven't been fed. Having to pull all carpet, pad and scrubbing subfloors. Extracting body juices. High probability of bioillnesses, biohazards, blood, airborne pathogens. 100% will affect a sane person. Veterinarians have some is the highest rates of suicide. I'm going with that. I was thinking this. I knew someone who was a social worker. She was the most happy, fun, carefree person you'd ever met. Until you asked her about her time as a social worker. It was hard seeing all the joy leave someone who had so much of it. You just knew she'd seen something that shouldn't be talked about. Psychiatric nurse in the psychiatric inpatient hospital. In a state prison, dealing with death row inmates. First responders, police, fire, EMTs. I think they see such violence and destruction. It would be hard to for it. Just look at the top suicide rates. Doctors are up there, which is odd because they're among the most coveted professions on earth. Teaching will absolutely destroy your mental health. If you get a bully admin, you're screwed. You have to have thick skin to ignore the teacher cliques, favoritism, inequity, crazy workload, unachievable expectations, rude students, huge academic gaps, low pay, etc. It can be fun at first, but give it time and it will beat you down and burn you out. Medical work. Statistically, I don't think anything else comes close. I found desk jobs with ridiculously long hours to be doozies. I've also worked in the trades. Working hard physically helps your overall health. Sitting in a desk looking at computers for 12+ hours regularly was the least healthy thing I've ever done. Combat soldier. Nothing destroys the human psyche like the constant stress of combat and being in combat zones. Therapist. Listening to people's problems for 8 hours every day will be extremely taxing. The journalist and historical author Iris Chong, author of the book The Rape of Nanking, went into a deep depression worsened by the subject matter that she wrote about and eventually committed suicide. Social media moderator. Imagine your job is watching videos of animals being mutilated and then having to decide if it violates the TOS as written, then moving on to a child abuse video. Farming. Trust me, work as hard as you can, do everything as correctly as possible. Live frugally. Be resourceful as you can. Weather, pests, equipment failure, repair and commodity prices wipe out your chances of any reasonable profit or profit at all. Sit with your accountant and banker and be told again and again how much of a total failure you are and that if you're going to get ahead in this world you're just going to have to work harder. Meanwhile they go home after a hard 6 hours at work and you head right back to the field to work until dark. I was an automation engineer once. Worked a reasonable amount of hours and was well paid for it. Then for personal, family reasons I started farming. I had to do it. This is fucking peasant work according to my accountant and banker, but it's infinitely more difficult than being an engineer ever was. I'll step in on this. I can only comment, as a chef for 30-odd years, that a kitchen will eventually break your heart, mind, body and soul. Corrections officer. Nightmare all day every day. I've heard air traffic controller. I remind myself of that when IT gets hard.